Tokio Jokio is terrible, but can we really blame Warner Brothers for taking this approach, given what happened at Pearl Harbor 2 years before this? It doesn't excuse it, but I think it definitely explains, in my opinion at least, why they decided to take such an outwardly racist approach to Tokio Jokio, because watching it now, it's incredibly uncomfortable. This is a Warner Brothers cartoon from 1943. It's directed by McCabe, written by Don Christensen, and voices are provided by Mel Blanc, and it's basically a newsreel from Japan, and animated, of course, in the States. And basically every clip is a different way of making fun of Japanese people during the war. For example, it looks at rationing with a quote-unquote comedic effect. I don't find it funny, but certainly they were making fun of these Japanese characters. And it is a difficult thing, a difficult kind of position to be in to view this, because on the one hand, this is just unacceptable and inexcusable. But at the same time, 2 years before this, the Japanese did attack Pearl Harbor, which resulted in thousands of fatalities. And I'd argue that what they did was worse than what Warner Brothers have done with this cartoon. It doesn't excuse it, but I think things do definitely need to be put into perspective to try and understand, in my opinion, why they decided to take this approach. Whereas there are plenty of Warner Brothers cartoons that are racist for absolutely no reason. Whereas this one does just seem like they took the opportunity to make fun of an entire nation, most of whom had nothing to do with Pearl Harbor and other war efforts, of course, and completely tear them apart, which is not acceptable. Obviously, two wrongs don't make a right, but then that's basically the entire premise of a world war, I guess. So, did I enjoy it? Not in the slightest. Is it excusable? Not at all. It's not comfortable to watch. But while I was watching it, I was thinking, why are they doing this? Why are they being so outwardly offensive with these very strong caricatures? And then I realised, hang on, this was 1943. So I'm assuming that's why. Of course, it could have nothing to do with that, and they maybe just wanted to make fun of Japanese people, which is even worse, even more awkward. Do I recommend it? Purely out of a fascination perspective. If, like me, you like watching cartoons from the Second World War and seeing these different perspectives and the different messages that they're trying to portray, they are obviously making fun of the Axis, which a lot of cartoons from the war definitely did do, so it's not unique in that sense, but it definitely is one of the most uncomfortable to watch today. Trying to find some positive things about it, and I can't say I like the voice acting, no offense to Mel Blanc, but obviously I didn't, because he's voicing these Japanese characters and what they're saying is just completely awkward. And the animation itself, the characters aside, the animation is not bad. But obviously the characters are very heavily caricatured and it's really unpleasant. So if you're fascinated by this from a historical perspective, absolutely give it a go. If you're trying to watch a cartoon for fun, for entertainment, Tokio Jokio will not fit that criteria, so I don't recommend it for that. But if you do watch it, let me know what you think of it. Did you immediately assume that this was not necessarily fighting back against Pearl Harbor, because this is hardly going to make up for that? But once I realised the dates, I thought, okay, it doesn't make it right, but when a Japanese fleet has just killed thousands of US citizens, I can understand why they might think it's okay to fight back at the Axis like this. Again, doesn't excuse it, but it might go some way to explaining it. Whereas, as I said, there are plenty of rather racist Warner Brothers cartoons from this time and earlier where I can't really find any viable reason or any kind of excuse at all. So it's not good. It's incredibly uncomfortable. Historically, quite fascinating. But unless that appeals to you, I'd say it's not worth checking out, because it's not an enjoyable experience, to say the very least.